Yo people, welcome back to another video. Now before I start, I do want to say that I've been live streaming on YouTube and that's why I haven't made a video in about a week. So feel free to watch the previous recordings, the previous streams, and catch me on my next stream on Wednesday 10:30 PM UK time, where I'm going to be doing a Star Wars movie and TV show tier list. As always, shout out to everyone who has been tuning in as well, everyone that's been liking, commenting, subbing to the channel as well, massively appreciated. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. So since we're speaking about shows, we have The Acolyte, which comes out in about 3 weeks. The show being spearheaded by Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant. But before we get into the most recent thing that she has said regarding the show, I'll do a little recap of some of the things we've been told by the actors, the actresses, and showrunners when promoting this show. Bear in mind that this was a show that no one asked for, and it is getting disliked to the moon because people are tired of the same garbage from Disney, the same agendas, the same blame game, the same they do something rubbish, blame the fans. It's just a copy and paste formula. The same reason Kenobi was trash, the same reason Boba Fett was trash. Disney can't handle these shows. Anyways, let's start with Leslie Headland, the showrunner, former personal assistant, basically discrediting George Lucas's work and his importance to Star Wars, which actually ties into today's information, which I'll get on shortly. Part of Disney's everlasting agenda is really to destroy George Lucas's work, kind of take Star Wars down a different path that they themselves don't even know what they're doing, and that's why we've got so much crap content. But anyways, this is what Leslie Headland had to say before she got the Star Wars job.
This is like what we understand to be Star Wars, like the idea that like that only came from George Lucas, that only George Lucas holds the key for what we understand to be Star Wars is just untrue. And I think the prequels are an excellent example of that. I mean, the idea that like when you're hiring a director, that everyone is sitting in there waiting for George Lucas and not for the person who's going to know to hire Ralph McQuarrie, that's the problem. That's the misogyny and the problem with the auteur myth as it stands today, because they're not thinking this is the person that will hire the right people and this is the person that will be able to create the lookbooks and direct people to get them to that place. They're just thinking, do you have all the answers? And the truth is that nobody does.
Let's move on to the same lady saying that this show will reflect her own queer identity. Meanwhile, we got this actress saying this absolute nonsense.
My character, she's a powerful leader. Yes. In a very woman-centered world. Star Wars is very, like, patriarchal.
I recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board.
Your vision is flawed.
We even got Amandla saying that this show makes sci-fi safe for black nerds. The questions are, when were black nerds ever not safe? Also, how can you say it's safe if the show hasn't come out yet, so you don't know how people are going to react? And why is it not giving safety to Asian nerds, or Latino nerds, or Jewish nerds, or other nerds out there? Why is it just black nerds? Agendas must agenda, I guess. But remember, they care about equality. And remember, they care about everyone. Yes, you've made that very clear, Disney, you have. And they wonder why people are tired of the agendas and the false narratives by Disney. They do this over and over again. And when the story is actually rubbish, we get called toxic and negative, sexist, all of that stuff. When the show's storyline is the real issue that they never ever fix. So now, the most recent of news is that the showrunner, she has said that she's going to be changing one key George Lucas canon rule in the show, which goes against the idea of the balance in the Force. This change in The Acolyte, and I quote, will redefine balance in the Force, emphasizing the need for both light and dark, contrary to George Lucas's original view that the dark side was the cause of imbalance. Leslie goes on to say, and I quote, honestly, the way I look at it is, there is no light without darkness, no good without bad. So to me, this might just be a personal thing. The Force is about balance. It's not just a Marvel superpower. The Force sensitive aren't just using telekinesis because they're special, powerful people, it's because they've achieved balance. As Yoda says, my ally is the Force, so the idea of a separation from that was really interesting. If you are unbalanced, the Force cannot protect you. That has to be some of the most dumbest stuff I've ever heard to do with Star Wars, and I'm someone who actually agrees with no good without bad, no light without dark. Look at my profile picture, I literally designed it with that purpose. But then for me, it's about how you use the Force. You can force choke someone and still be good, like Luke Skywalker did in Return of the Jedi. It's about how each person uses the ability that they've been given that defines if someone's good or not. She's basically saying that Force sensitives use telekinesis because they've achieved balance. By that very logic, most Jedi wouldn't even be Jedi, and they wouldn't even be able to use the Force, so where are you going with this? She even says that if you're unbalanced, the Force can't protect you. Absolute clown. So she's basically trying to rewrite the Chosen One prophecy about balance to the Force, but put it into every single character essentially. So they can't use the Force unless they're balanced. I don't know, someone tell her who Qui-Gon Jinn is and what it means to follow the will of the Force. Someone go tell her about Mace Windu, because she has lost her mind. Usually I respect when people go and take risks, like I actually don't mind it, but when it's to this level of stupidity, we already know it's gonna fail. And then they're gonna blame all the fans as usual, even though she's destroying canon yet again. I did say earlier that they keep trying to ruin George Lucas's work, and it's no shock that they've hired this absolute idiot to go and do it, when I just showed you earlier on in the clip that she doesn't respect George Lucas, she doesn't really understand why he's the guy, even though he's the one that created it. So it's only right that Disney hires someone who hates George Lucas to go and destroy George Lucas's work. And by the way, she should be arrested. Like I said, former personal assistant to Harvey Weinstein. They've basically just created another show that is dead on arrival. This one will probably be the worst reviewed show unless they actually pull it off, which, to be honest, I'll give it like a 5% chance that they'll actually pull this off and this will be a great show from start to finish. I guess this is Disney now. This is Disney Star Wars. People have been saying it's dead since 2012. I don't quite agree with that, but every single show that we see, it just gives us more and more reason to believe that this franchise is absolutely finished and we're better off just finding another thing. But at the same time, if we give up and stop supporting, then all these morons and all these idiots and all these agendas rule over, and then Star Wars will truly be lost. But anyways, as always, appreciate everyone for staying this long. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed, sub to the channel if you haven't already, if you're new around here. Really appreciate all the support. Drop your comments, drop your thoughts down below. Thank you for your time and have a great rest of your day.